gamers out there, there seems to be one company that they all seem to be attracted to. And for me, I'm not very different. I mean, the gaming company that started my love of gaming was Nintendo, because they created some of the best game series in the world. I mean, you got The Legend of Zelda, you got Mario, you got Metroid. Those games in the series, there's always such a fun game that comes along in that series that just increases my love of the Nintendo gaming company. And unfortunately, there comes a game in the series with a boss that is either amazing to fight or they're really awful to fight. And so I'm going to count down my top 10, 10 being worst, 1 being the best, in my favorite boss fights in different game series of Nintendo. So without further ado, let's start counting down. Taking the number 10 spot would be The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask Final Boss, Majora's Mask. I wanted to love this game. I really did. It's just, I didn't. I mean, when you got a boss fight where if you can make your character be overpowered compared to the main boss of the game, so the boss fight only lasts like 5 seconds, you know that game has issues. Also, I beat the game without using the Fierce Deity Mask, and I still didn't have a problem beating Majora's Mask. I mean, yeah, it did take a little longer to beat the mask, but, like, I wanted to enjoy the boss fight, make it prolonged. But still, just as young Link, I was able to beat Majora's Mask without taking any damage. It was not my favorite. I don't even consider liking Majora's Mask at all. Even though I really want to, I just can't. And that's why it takes number 10. For the number 9 spot, we got another Legend of Zelda boss from Ocarina of Time this time, and that is Baronade. I didn't like Jabu Jabu's belly at all as a kid. Like, to me, I think it's worse than the Water Temple. And now that I played it like 13 years later, I still don't like Jabu Jabu's belly. Like, it's so stupid. Like, yeah, the dungeon is kind of fun. It's just annoying that you have to go everywhere carrying Rudo. And the boss itself is just plain stupid. I just feel like it's Link just throwing the boomerang and getting electrified, and you're hoping the boomerang will do something. Just, I don't like Nintendo water levels. It's especially Baronade boss. He was stupid. I didn't enjoy it at all. And I just didn't enjoy Jabu Jabu's belly. Probably my least favorite dungeon of the whole Ocarina of Time game. Coming in number 8 is Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess Blizzetta. This one, you fight the Yeti's wife in the Yeti Mansion, and honestly, to me, she just felt like a very Frozen remake of Baronade for Twilight Princess, which was taken from Ocarina of Time. Honestly, the only good thing about Blizzetta was the jump scare we get before we actually fight her. It feels like a very similar fight to the fight that Link has against Baronade, except this time you're fighting a chunk of ice with a chain ball instead of fighting like a jellyfish with a boomerang. But it was just not fun in my opinion. Especially Link sliding around on the ice made it difficult. Yeah, I did enjoy that fight. I had more fun snowboarding to the Yeti Mansion and exploring that mansion. Even I thought the mini-boss of the mansion was more fun than the actual boss setup for this dungeon. So, in my opinion, That's gotta take number 8. Number 7 is going to be from Luigi's Mansion. God, this game scared me as a kid, man. Like, just the ghost jumping after as you explore the mansion as Luigi, just screaming boo at Luigi. Oh, that was terrifying to me. Also, it had some pretty creepy cutscenes to it before the boss fights. Anyway, number 7 will be Robot Bowser / King Boo. This is the final boss of the Luigi's Mansion game. And it is hard, man. Like, I remember playing it as a kid, and it was just so hard. You got King Boo, which I think it would be a difficult fight on his own. But he's in this robot version of Bowser, where you're battling Bowser on the roof of this mansion. Bowser can make these, like, spiked balls appear out of his hands, and he'll throw them at Luigi. And you suck up the balls with your poltergeist, shoot them back at the robot, which knocks his head off, which causes King Boo to come out, which would be, like, it wouldn't be too easy, it'd still be a challenge, but the challenge would be to knock the robot's head off. But they also have the robot shooting fireballs at Luigi while he's trying to suck up King Boo. So that's adding another challenge on top of a challenge on top of a challenge. You got shooting the robot's head off, sucking up King Boo, and avoiding fireballs by the robot's head. It is a very difficult fight, but I do have to admit, getting King Boo's health down to 0 for that fight is really satisfying, because you know it's something that you've had a hard time fighting for, and you just gotta pat yourself on the back after beating it, because it's really hard. Number 6, we got Chairman Rose from Pokemon Sword. I love Pokemon Sword. From the Pokemon games I have on Switch, which are Sword, Violet, Arceus, and Diamond, I would have to say that number 1 would be Sword. I just love the story to it. I love the Pokemon in it. The battles are super fun. Great characters to play with. And the end goal is just really fun. But Chairman Rose, his fight is actually really fun. I have him on number 6 because not only does he have fun Pokemon to fight against, but the arena and the music that goes on while you fight him, the story behind him, he's trying to like bring around the end of the world basically. So fighting him, you actually feel like there's something on the line. If you lose to him, I didn't lose to him on my first try, I got him on my first try, but I would not want to see what he says if you lose to him, because I feel like it would be a really sad ending to the game if you lost to him. But just the music to Pokemon Sword is what drew me into this game, and the battle with Rose was just really fun. Just an end of the world feeling to it, amazing Pokemon to fight against when you fight Rose. Really fun battle. I enjoyed it a lot. This next boss is coming at number 5 with Metroid Dread being Corpius. Corpius is the first boss that you fight in Metroid Dread. Metroid Dread is an amazing game. Like, it's the first Metroid game I've played. Like, I played Metroid Hunters on the DS, I like that, but Metroid Dread just had something special to it that I really liked. Anyway, Corpius was an amazing boss fight. I mean, he's being like the spider scorpion thing was really cool. I mean, at that one point you gotta slide under him to be able to shoot his weak spots, and then there's that part where he can go invisible that you gotta shoot his tail at. Also, you can climb the walls to avoid his toxic breath. Also, that ending cutscene, when you do finally beat him, and he charges at the statue, and Samus just jumps through the ring of his tail, then shoots him and kills him. That was an amazing cutscene. It was a really fun battle. He was probably one of my favorite bosses in that game. Even though he came along really early, he was a really fun boss. Number 4, the honor goes to Sonic vs. Infinite in the forest. I don't get why people didn't like Sonic Forces. I thought it was awesome. It brought in villains from other games like Metal Sonic, Zarbok, Shadow. Even though Shadow's like an anti-hero, it brought him back. You also got Sonic from like the early 80s Sonic games in it. And then in other levels you get to play as an avatar that you create. I thought it was so much fun. Plus, this battle with Sonic vs. Infinite in the forest, it was just awesome in my opinion. Like, you got Sonic running along this vine with Infinite flying backwards in front of Sonic, and you gotta jump forward and just smash Sonic's smash ball right into Infinite. But sometimes Infinite will use his powers to twist reality, so there will be spikes growing along the vine that you can run into. If you run into them, it takes away a lot of your health. It's like only a 2-hit thing, then the battle will start over if that happens. But it was a really fun game. I thought it was really fun. Like, the mechanics to the game was fun. I loved Sonic Forces. It was a really fun one. So I just gotta say that Sonic Forces, Sonic vs. Infinite takes number 4. Alright. Number 3 goes to Metroid Dread experiment number Z57. This was an amazing fight. Like, earlier in the game, Samus will, like, it side scrolls through the game and you see, like, Corpius's dead body being zapped by it. So, number Z57 is like a reanimated corpse of Corpius, but a lot bigger and a lot stronger. I mean, it definitely is a boss fight that challenges the reflexes on it, but I love it. Like, if you do match your reflex timing just right, there's this cutscene where Corpius will ride around this building a couple times, and Samus will be on the head just shooting missile after missile, damaging it. And it is a very frustrating boss fight. Very, very hard. I'll admit that. Like, I was about to give up after, like, my 30th death. I was like, alright, one more time and then I'm going to bed. Because it was like 2 in the morning. And I actually ended up beating Z57. It is very rewarding to see the death of Z57 just because not only is it a really hard boss fight, but it's really cool the way he falls into the lava and tries to take Samus with him, and yet she does this awesome backflip with her suit to get out of his reach. It is a really exciting boss fight, really fun cutscene at the end, and just definitely deserves number 3 for my favorite boss fight. Number 2 is another Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess boss, and this boss is Morphle from the Water Temple. Usually I don't like water temples, like, except Majora's Mask. For some reason I really enjoyed Majora's Mask. The temple, not the actual boss of the temple, because the boss fight sucks. But we're talking about Twilight Princess. And Morphle is probably one of the funnest boss fights of any Zelda game I've had. I mean, the beginning of the game, once you sink to the bottom of the tunnel, the boss fight is like the fight that Link has in the Ocarina of Time Water Temple with the boss, which is kind of lame. But the second fight is a lot more fun. I mean, the Morfield shows his true self. He's like a giant eel dragon thing. And it's just fun swimming around and hook-shocking onto the eyeball on its back and slashing the crap out of that thing. And then it does like a whole death thing where it swims into the side of the wall of the chamber and all the water drains out. It is probably one of the funnest fights that I've played in a Zelda game. I loved it. That is definitely number 2. I'm not changing my mind about that. It's number 2. And number 1, we got Samus Metroid Dread Samus vs. RavenBeak. This game, or this boss fight, was amazing. And it definitely takes skill in beating it. I mean, it takes everything you've learned throughout the whole game of Metroid Dread to go up against this boss that you've been working to get through the whole game. Dude, it reminded me of Legend of Zelda Link vs. Ganondorf for some reason. I mean, you got RavenBeak, who's like this big, bulky bird that's obviously kind of representing Ganondorf to me. And then you got this slim, small figure, Samus, who would basically be Link. But it's a really fun game learning how to affect RavenBeak through different phases of each fight. And then through RavenBeak's attacks, you get these cool cutscenes of Samus dodging them and them attacking each other without you having to play. It is awesome. Plus, at the end of the fight, Metroid does take over RavenBeak, so he becomes this giant mutation of himself that Samus just blasts in the end, then escapes the planet. It is a super fun boss fight, super hard, but a really fun boss fight to play. I loved it. Alright guys, so those are my top 10 boss fights through the Nintendo franchise games that I've played. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up. Also, leave a comment what your favorite boss fight has been through a Nintendo game. Also, please subscribe if you like this video. I would really appreciate it. And if you have any ideas for what I should do for a next video, just leave them down in the comments, because I'm open to do anything. Anime, video game, eating things, anything. I'd be down to do it. Alright guys, that's it. We'll see you next time.